Thank you for calling Chemical Sport Auto and Life Insurance. How may I help you?
Yes, I'd like to inquire about adding some additional auto insurance coverage to my car.
Absolutely. We can definitely do that for you. What is the make and model and year of your vehicle?
Yes, it's a 1997 Chevrolet Camaro RS with the 3.8-liter V6 motor.
Perfect. And if I may, I apologize, but your voice sounds very familiar to me. I've heard your voice somewhere before. Are you famous?
Well, you've probably seen my YouTube channel.
Oh, that's it. That's it. You're that guy that narrates those stupid hemorrhoid commercials on TV.
No.
I guess you're not gonna believe what I have on the phone.
Wait, no, I'm not. That's not.
You're that hemorrhoids don't have to be a pain in the butt guy from
I'm
TV.
not that. That's not. I'm the Daninator.
Yeah. Okay there, hemorrhoid nader.
Oh, boy. I just want to say thank you to Chemical Spore for helping me with this week's intro. Check them out on YouTube. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Daninator channel and episode 2 of Project ZRS, where we are taking my 1997 Chevrolet Camaro RS. It's got a 3.8-liter V6 motor. We're going to pull it and put the motor in from my 99 Silverado. It's no longer on the road. We're going to get that thing pulled, rebuilt, and we're going to throw that in here. It's an LM7 iron block 5.3 liter. And as you may know with these 4th generation Camaros, you can't just pull a V6 and plop a V8 in it. And that truck motor isn't just going to plop right in. I'm going to have a new oil pan, new intake. I think we're going to have to adjust the fuel system. I have to have the wiring harness and a computer and all that stuff to be able to run that motor. This is going to be kind of a learning experience with me. I have swapped a motor out of a Camaro before, but that was the 3rd gen. And I had a donor car. It was an IROC Z Camaro that was wrecked, and it just basically swapped over. You just moved the engine mounts and it went right in. Had all the wiring and stuff to go with it. So I really liked how that process went, having that donor car. So I thought I might just do the same thing and find a wrecked Z28 4th generation Camaro or a Trans Am Firebird or something and swap in an LS1 into this thing. Well, I searched for a long time and I couldn't find anything within my budget that had a motor and transmission in it. And my RS is an automatic transmission, by the way. So anyway, I was looking online. I found a couple of wrecked Z28s with the LS1 motor, and the way some people price these things, it just was way too expensive for my budget. So I thought, well, maybe I can just find a car that has no drivetrain in it, just a roller. I could use the K-member. Hopefully I can find something that has everything there, like a wiring harness, the computer, radiator, fans, whatever. And I got on the Facebook Marketplace and I found a couple of cars, and I wasn't the first one to go look at it, so a couple of these things sold before I got a chance. And then came across the car that I actually went after in episode 1. So if you haven't seen that one yet, go check that out. I drove 4.5 hours, 275 miles to go get this car, put it on a tow dolly that's super sketch. So we drove 9 hours, over 500 miles to go pick up this car. And it was quite the adventure that I had with my father-in-law, so it was a good time, good memories. And we did have just a little bit of a hiccup on the way back, but it had nothing to do with the car or the trailer. It actually had to do with the failblazer. I dropped a coil and got that all figured out, and then we were back on the road. So we were able to get the car home, and I'm excited to have it. Now, having said all that, I do have a big confession to make. That wasn't the first time I went after the car. Episode 1 was actually the 2nd time I drove all that way to go get the car. Let me explain. So how and why would I be crazy enough to go after this car twice? Well, out of the handful of rollers that I found on Facebook Marketplace, this one was in the nicest condition, the most complete, minus the engine and transmission, of course, and most importantly, it was in my price range. The others were in rough shape, had been picked through, or were badly damaged. I made contact with the seller and asked a lot of questions about the condition of the car and what parts were included. He suggested that I drop by and get a closer look at it, and I told him that would be difficult because I lived 4.5 hours away, so I'd have to arrange a time to get down there, but I was serious about the car. I didn't want him to think that I was just tire kicking and wasting his time. Long story short, we arranged to meet up with him around midday 2 days later. So the plan was set. My father-in-law and I were going to get up early, make it down there at about lunchtime, take a look at the car, purchase it, load her up, and get back home in time for him to honor a previous commitment that he had made for that evening. Well, we got up early the day of and made the long trek down with the sketchy tow dolly in tow. So we arrived a few minutes early and got the chance to kind of walk around the car and get a look at the exterior, and then the owner showed up. To our surprise, the car that was listed as a roller still had the engine and transmission in it. I'll tell you, my flabber had never been so thoroughly gasted. The only thing that I can come up with is that he possibly posted his car for sale as a roller, thinking he was going to have some time to pull the engine and trans out of it before anyone would show interest in it and buy it. If I remember correctly, he told me he had worked 2 or 3 jobs and had a little one at home, so I understand about intending to do something only to have life happen, and the next thing you know, it's a week later, so I get it. So what now? I will tell you, the guy was very apologetic to us. He was very nice. He offered to buy us lunch while he pulled the motor. He owned a shop right there with the lift. The only thing was that we didn't have the time to wait. Long story short, we agreed on a day for his brother to deliver the car to a town about an hour from my home, where I would then take possession of it and tow Dolly at home from there. So after an uncomfortable call to my wife that we were heading home without the car, we took off for home. Talk about a long drive back. The weekend of the delivery had arrived. I get a message from the guy that the brother can't make the delivery because of an accident. I'll admit I was wondering if this was an excuse not to have to deliver the car until he sent me pictures of his brother. It was true. I kept in touch with the owner over the next week or so and just decided that I'd go after the car one more time. I'm crazy, I know. I just didn't think that I should give up on it. Check out episode 1 of Project ZRS. We managed to make the transaction and bring the car home. Alright, now let's take a closer look at the donor car. Well, so anyway, I got the keys. Let's crack this thing open. I actually have not been in this car in a little while, so it's probably riddled with wasps and stuff, so hopefully I don't get stung. There's already a wasp right there at the door handle. Get out of here! Yeah, get out of here! So anyway, again, it is a 6-speed car, so it's got the manual transmission, center console, pedals, and I've got in the back seat here, I've got the under dashboard trim pieces. I've got the radiator fans and the radiator. Got an oil dipstick tube. I mean, overall, the car is, from 10 feet, it's probably an overall condition of like a 7.5, 8. It is a 10-foot paint job. You can see some droops in the paint and stuff right here, and it's had some work done on it. The top's actually in pretty good shape too, so overall it's like an 8. I'll show you around here on the passenger side. We've got all the wiring, got all the engine wiring harness, the computer. Oh, there's the airbag right there. So this is the LS1 wiring harness. It's stock to the car, and can't remember what some of this stuff is. Anyway, let's pop the trunk. Anyway, it's got the plastic trim and cover for the top. I do have a drive shaft, spare tire. I think we got a bag of bolts and stuff down there. That's the trunk. Let's pop the hood on this puppy. So again, it's just a motor and transmission pull. Everything else should be here. The AC stuff's gone, but everything else is here. We've got the power steering pump, sway bar, K-member, engine mounts, steering shaft, fuse box, all that brakes, everything is all in here. So you can see the Z28's got the 4-wheel disc brakes, so I'm going to be swapping that over. My car's got drum brakes right now, so I'll be swapping the entire rear axle over as well. And I'll probably be swapping the gas tank, because I think on these late model 4th generations they have plastic tanks. If you remember the video where I swapped the fuel pump out by dropping the rear end, it was kind of a bear to get that tank out because the filler neck and everything was just solid metal. I'm not positive, but I think the plastic tanks and the filler necks can separate from each other, making it easier to drop. I don't think I'm going to need to swap the dash pod out because my 97 has the digital odometer as well. So I don't know about the body control module and the wiring harness and all that. I think that all can stay in the RS. The only thing I'm really going to need to change is the engine wiring harness. So here's the power plant that's going into the ZRS. It's the 5.3 liter LM7 iron block. I know for sure it's going to be needing the LS1 intake. This intake is far too tall to fit into the Camaro. I'd love to put long tube headers on this thing, and it's going to need the LS1 accessory drive, or I'm going to have to modify the accessory drives on the front of this engine, because with the shorter intake, the throttle body is going to be in a lower position, and that kind of just messes things up with this 5.3 liter accessory drive. Because that alternator sticks up way too high. That's going to have to be adjusted. I've been looking at some forums and stuff to see how you can alter the 5.3 liter engine accessories to be able to fit into a Camaro. So it's going to be kind of a tricky thing, because if I do go with the LS1 accessories, I believe I'm going to have to drill a hole and tap it for the alternator. to be able to be moved in the LS1 spot. I'm also going to need to get a shorter oil pan and pickup tube because the truck oil pan is just too tall. And I'm sure there's going to be a plethora of other things that I'm going to have to address. So this is definitely a learning process with me, and I'm going to be picking guys' brains to kind of get this figured out, and I'm certainly open to any suggestions or tips you guys may have for me. Just leave them in the comments below. All right, well, that is the donor car that we're going to be using to make this project happen. The V6 transmission will not bolt up to the LS motor, so I would love to be able to find a T56 transmission. If not, then I've got the 4L60E out of the Silverado. Shoot, I've even got the 4L60E in the Parts Trailblazer. So I don't lack an automatic transmission. I know that's an electronically controlled transmission, so that means I'll have to find the LS1 wiring harness for the automatic transmission if I'm not able to find a T56. I would love to make that V6 car a 6-speed V8 car. That'd be awesome. So actually I've been shopping and keeping my eyes peeled for that, so we'll see how that goes. I've been asking around about machine shops to be able to take care of the V8 motor for me, and I've actually got to call in with somebody and talk to somebody about it. I've been picking a lot of guys' brains about what to do with that motor and how to make my ZRS a really nice, smooth street cruiser that sounds really good. That's really what I'm looking for. I'd like to have a fun car that I can drive to work and have some fun getting there, if you know what I mean. So as far as the convertible goes, I thought that I would just take the V6 stuff out of my Camaro and just swap it over here and just have a fun drop top car to be able to drive on a really nice day, or just sell it or junk it. I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen with this car after I take the parts off of it. So we'll cross that bridge when we get there. So stay tuned. Hopefully the next video won't take so long to come out, but life has happened and I've had to put this on the back burner for a little while. Well, that's going to wrap up episode 2 of Project ZRS. I want to thank you for watching. God bless. Be sure and hit that like switch on your way out. See you next time. Get out of here. Get out of here.